Alright, so I got a couple people asking me how I mounted this big block on this Revo. So, there's not really much on it on YouTube. There's a couple videos describing what they did, but not in detail what has to be done. So I figured I'd make one. If this is not how you do it, that's fine. This is just how I did it. This is just my opinion on how I did it. So you do it how you want to, but alright, so for mounting your big block, it's really straightforward. If you have any kind of mechanical knowledge or anything like that, you just process of elimination. So I need this motor on here, so you gotta think, how can I get this motor on? Well, with Revo, as you can see, there's not much space back here, so naturally you need to move it as far forward as you can. I actually need to go forwards more, but what you do is the big block kit that you buy, it's got two notches. It's got a notch here, then a notch right back here, and what you do is you cut this back leg off. The first notch that's on the back side, you cut that off, both sides. That way you slide the motor forward, use the forward holes right here. Alright. Also, front mount, rear mount, factory, leave it. Just like that. I got mine bolted in with bolts. As you can see, I got bolts. I didn't use none of the factory bolts for those, I just put my own bolts in it. Then the long arm that comes in, you use that for your throttle linkage. I'm using the second hole on the back side loosely right here. I'll show you that the linkage works nice and freely. Put this in, don't tighten it, it's sort of loose. As far as the linkage goes, you see I'm using this back hole right here. I've taken out reverse, so it leaves extra space here. Put your spring right here on this first bolt hole right here, the first bolt from your servo for your reverse, and you put your spring right here in front of this little clamp. But when you first do this, you take this, loosen this top screw right here on your throttle linkage, and you flip it around because it comes straight up, or at least that's how mine was. Put it down, leave it loose, put this on, figure out which way it works good, which way it works smooth. But that's what I did. I kept playing with adjustments until it worked. But that's how the linkage, everything works. As far as the transmission goes, transmission's gonna have to come forward. So right here. Also, I forgot to add the big block mount and the factory mount. The base of these big red engines is very wide, so you have to take and Dremel out just a little bit on the inside where this engine sits. Just a little, don't go too crazy. Just enough that the engine will sit down flush. When I first sat this engine down in here, it would not sit flush. It tried to bottom out on the bracket, so I had to take and Dremel that just a little bit so I can have some room for the engine to sit more comfortably. You got to take a Dremel tool, you've got to Dremel this right here out. I should have done more, but I still got a gap in between there. I might do it later if a transmission comes back out, but as of right now, it's good to go. Let it go just like that. Alright. Transmission, the factory mount would not go, the big block mount would not go down low enough. I don't know if it's because of the clutch I'm using. I'm going to buy another clutch tomorrow, but with the transmission bolted down to the factory plate, it put too much pressure onto this gear, so I've got to get another one, and I had to space up the transmission with one small washer. I don't have one here, but it's a very thin washer. You see it right down there, but I've got the transmission bolted in as well, because just with a big block and everything, I just wanted everything bolted securely. And because I've raised the transmission up a little bit, I had to do just a little bit of shaving right here so the differential, the drive shaft will clear. Like I said, this is not how you would do it. That's fine, you don't have to do it this way. I'm just telling you how mine works. Everything's together, everything's bolted down, everything's secure. Everything's good. The muffler, this is probably the hardest, as far as I'm concerned, this was probably the hardest part, putting this tight spring on around this motor. All this here was like easy, it's fun. I enjoyed it. But yeah, nothing really much to it. You just gotta have a little bit of knowledge and process of elimination. I need a motor on here. Figure out how to get your motor on here. It's gotta be further forward. Use the first holes, block that off, knock that off with a cutoff wheel. Mount your motor. Use the long arm, second hole. No problem. Yeah, that's the factory gear, factory everything. I did the Ford only swap, so got rid of the sensor, got rid of the opti drive. Yeah, that's how you do it. Hopefully this helps somebody get back into racing or playing with their trucks. And more videos to come. I'm still waiting on my glow plug igniter, and I've got to get that clutch bell tomorrow, and then hopefully I'll be able to run it. I'm trying to find a modified arm so I can run something different, because that's really close like that. But anyway, hope this helps.